We are in the middle of a live breaking news story right here out of Killeen, Texas. Of course, we're here in Austin, Texas, our home base, which is roughly about 30 miles south of Fort Hood in Killeen, Texas, where the news is reporting that multiple shooters are attacking the base. This is known to be the largest military base in the world, at least in the country, at around 50,000 people, including some military contractors. We're going to cover this here in the first hour, tell you what we know. If I sound a little funny today, that is because, conveniently enough, as this story broke, our ISDN lines went down, and we are no longer able to communicate in the standard professional fashion with our network, American Freedom Radio. One of the questions I'd like to ask at this point is, are there any other alternative radio shows, at least any of this stature, live right now? We do need to try to figure that out, but it could just be one of those funny coincidences, folks. But this is what we have so far. Fort Hood came under attack here just about 45 minutes ago. We'll try to correct you on the timeline the best we can. First, it was reported that one gunman had fired on what is not determined yet to be military personnel or civilians or contractors. Then it was reported that two gunmen were involved, and now three gunmen. The attack on Fort Hood. It is continuing now live, and so far, the news is reporting that 7 are dead and potentially 20 are injured. 2 of the gunmen are on the loose. There was a shooting reported as recently as about 10 or 15 minutes ago. One of the suspects is allegedly in custody. All 3 were decked out in military gear. They were dressed as soldiers. And I'm going to give you the information that we have and kind of give you the essence of how the news is reporting it. We were able to watch this on cable news here just before we got on the air, and we're watching the wires diligently, and we are also in contact with a few people who are shooting us information to give us updates as fast as we can get them. So we'll run through this information. Just about an hour or so ago, Fort Hood came under attack by gunmen. They were using both, according to report, automatic weapons and handguns. 7 dead, again, 20 injured. This started in the, I believe, commissary area or the, the barracks area of Fort Hood, which again is confirmed to be or allegedly to be one of the largest military bases in the country. The MSNBC and others are reporting that this could be, especially after hearing about the third gunman, that this could be a real Fort Dix plot gone live. Of course, you remember that, the FBI involved in a sting operation and the terrorist putting together a plot that they had allegedly trained for. They were going to go in dressed as pizza delivery men and shoot up Fort Dix, I believe in New Jersey. One of the questions that was asked, I thought was very interesting on the media when this began to appear more like a terrorist attack, again using that Fort Dix terminology. One of the people on MSNBC asked, is there any importance to this day? And nobody seemed to know the answer to that question, but I thought it was kind of an interesting question just out of the blue, because today, of course, is Guy Fawkes Day, November 5th, and V for Vendetta, which has been really a banner that has been waved from everyone to ourselves to Ron Paul and the Ron Paul money bomb last year. This is why I think it might be interesting to note that this just happened right up north of us here from Austin, Texas. Our lines are down, and it would be very easy at this point to speculate that this could be some kind of a setup, blaming some militia members or something for the attack. But again, this would just be speculation, though it is certainly a coincidence. Attack on Fort Dix today, November 5th, traditionally known as Guy Fawkes Day. SWAT had moved in almost immediately, which begs the question, how did they get there so fast? Though I assume with something as big as this, they could be loaded up and ready to go. There have already been a firefight with at least one of the suspects and SWAT. Again, high-powered automatic weapons were used. Alleged President Obama, has been briefed. He will be, I guess, making a statement. As of about 10, 15 minutes ago, choppers were on the way. Where are the military police? This has not been mentioned. There are sirens, I guess, going off near the military facility, though no military seem to be involved in the fight. Getting this in, Red Cross is standing by. This happened at the Soldier Readiness center where the soldiers are deployed. I guess kind of keeping in mind the soldiers weren't very ready, at least in this case. Again, confirmation, I'm trying to read my writing here, folks. Residents are on alert. Representative John Carter has been here in Texas, has been all over the news trying to report on this. SWAT teams battle at least one gunman on the military base. This was determined out to be at least 3 gunmen, which is leading most of the news agents to speculate that this could be an organized attack, and I think just about everybody is going in that direction at this point. At least 7 people dead, first reported 12, I believe. I've also heard reports of 20 wounded, Fort Hood in Texas. So says the base's public affairs office to NBC News. The official would not give the name or additional details. It was unknown whether the victims are soldiers or civilians. One gunman was reportedly in custody. Another was on the loose. And then they've added a third shooter possibly involved, and shots had been fired again upwards to about 15 minutes ago, according to affiliate of NBC, KCEN, which said that the person had opened fire on the SWAT team at the base. Again, begging the question, what was the SWAT team doing on the base? When did they get there? How fast did they respond? And why aren't military police and the military itself responding to the attack? KCEN is reporting that a policeman was among those shot. KCEN in Waco reported that the second suspect may be holed up in a building on the post. Gary Schnapp, he's an aide to John Carter, told the Austin American-Statesman that he was on the Army post to attend a graduation service. He said that he neared the entrance of the building where the service was being held. A soldier with blood on his uniform ran past him and said a man was shooting. Schnepp told the newspaper that the shootings appeared to have occurred in a complex near a theater where the service was scheduled. So we have a congressman's representative inside the building now, I guess in contact with Representative Carter, and that the shootings might have appeared to have occurred in a complex near a theater where this graduation service was being held. He was with the injured soldier, again, this representative of Representative Carter, who said he had appeared to have been struck in the shoulder but did not have life-threatening injuries. According to unconfirmed reports, one of the shooters was being surrounded by police in the 42006 building on Fort Hood. That source told KCEN the shooter has a high-powered rifle. The base was reportedly on lockdown. The Kylene Independent School District said all of Fort Hood schools are on lockdown. The parents will be able to pick up their children at the normal times, though they may experience delays. So this has always been one of the issues when an emergency happens and your children are in schools. Will you be able to pick them up, or will they be held for their own safety? We've heard quite a lot of talk about that in various scenarios put forward by terrorist attacks and emergencies. In fact, we've been talking about that for years. FBI agents are reportedly on the way to the post. Again, keeping in mind, why can't we ask this question? Is this considered disrespectful? Where are the military on the military post? I hope they're not all in Afghanistan. Obviously there are people there with weapons. Why aren't they using their military training to indeed take out these shooters? This is, of course, what they are trained to do. This is what that they are paid to do. This is a question that has to be asked. Fort Hood, if you're not familiar with it, is adjacent to Kylene, Texas. It's about, 60 miles northeast of Austin, Texas, where we broadcast this show. The sprawling complex is home to at least 4,929 active duty officers, about 45,000 enlisted civilian employees, total nearly 9,000. Army spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Lee M. Packett said he was unaware if security measures were put in place at other military bases. Keep in mind, this is something that the government and the military, the Department of Defense, have been expecting for quite some time. I'll talk about the Fort Dix attack here in a bit as we get through most of this information, but there have been warning signs about something something like this happening, and you know where we're coming from. I mean, where it originates from, all of this is going to come out as this story develops. But now, if we look at it as just a military emergency, we have to ask these questions. Why wouldn't they be better prepared? Who are these shooters who were dressed in military fatigues? How were they able to get into this if they were not military people? Not military people. Not military people.